DeAndre, we are back.
And better than ever, we got some
Hell yeah, we are.
something spicy today. I'm actually really
Well,
excited to talk about this because it might get a little controversial up in here.
we love to start shit. It's funny because I actually asked my person, whatever, about his unpopular relationship opinions, but he
Mm.
gave me like a smart ass like answer to be funny. But
Wow.
uh newsflash, we're going to be talking about unpopular relationship opinions that would get you in trouble. Specifically, if you remember Flynn Rider from Rapunzel, when everyone starts pointing their swords at him and he's just kind of sitting there looking like, what y'all gonna do? Stab me then? That is the meme we're referencing. I don't have Twitter, so DeAndre, please narrate to the folks how we chose today's topic.
Yeah, I came across this tweet on the good old Tweeter. As she mentioned, unpopular relationship opinions that would get you in this position. Obviously, the position she just described from Rapunzel. Uh, and I just shifted through a couple of comments and quote retweets, and I was like, "Damn, some of these are podcast worthy." So I had to send this to Yesenia, and I was like, "Girl, I need you to go through some of these, and we need to talk about some of them." We could honestly this rabbit hole could be a number of episodes if I'm being completely honest. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say probably expect more from this topic down the road. But for right now, let's hit rattle off a couple of them and talk about them on the latest episode of Soft Boiled.
You are now tuned in to the Soft Boiled Podcast with DeAndre and Yesenia, your one-stop shop for all things relationships. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right, Yesenia, if you know anything about me, is that I love a good controversy. I love riling people up. I love getting people heated. I don't know why I love it so much. It's kind of a kink
You
for
just
me, I
worship
guess.
chaos.
Yeah, I'm a chaotic neutral, as some would say. Uh, but we've got some controversial topics. These aren't our opinions. I want to preface this. Um, these aren't our opinions. What we're going to be reading off are opinions from people on the internet. So, uh, these could go a number of ways.
I just also want to keep in mind that, again, opinions, whether or not we agree with these people's opinions, we can learn to respect that these are other people's opinions. They might not align with ours. We might talk a little shit. But at the end of the day, here on the Soft Boiled podcast, we respect people's rights to choose in every way of the word. And, if people have specific ways they want their relationship ran, I'm sure they'll find other people who like and want the same things. So, before y'all start getting your panties in a bunch, please listen with an open mind. Please listen for information. Please listen for education and to like humor yourselves for the next hour, okay?
hmm
Let's be grown-ups about this.
Yeah, don't yuck anyone's yum. However, I am about to yuck some yum right fucking now because the one I'm gonna lead off with is actually the one opinion that I saw, and it hits home to me because I am a black man. Um, this opinion hit home to me because there I no one has ever given me a good reason as to why I should be doing this. And the thing I'm referring to is I couldn't find the exact tweet, but I have it pretty embedded in my mind because it was just so it was outlandish. I couldn't believe it that he said this. But apparently this is a sentiment that a lot of people also follow, and that is as a black man, you should not be dating anyone other than black women. I I've come to realize that as I grow older, that that's a sentiment shared by a lot of the black community. I never really, I mean, I guess I can kind of understand because there is some hints of like racism and camaraderie rooted in there. I can understand where you're coming from, but I don't know. Maybe I have a young person's mind, right? I mean, I guess I do have a young person's mind. But I can't look through that lens of, as a black man, you should only be dating a black woman. I just do not, I cannot wrap my head around that, because at the end of the day, Yesenia, you like what you like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I can't, like, how would you feel if, I don't know if that's a thing that runs in the Latino community. Um, I don't know if you've ever heard anyone on your side of the family or in your neck of the woods be like, Yesenia, you should only date Mexican or Latino men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me personally, when I heard that, I was like, how are you just gonna how are you just gonna say that I should only be dating this type of women?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Especially when, me personally, call it racist, call it bigoted, whatever you want. I'm just not attracted to black women. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm just not. And I don't mean that like all of them. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. There's an exception to every rule,
Mm-hmm.
but that's it's just it makes no sense to me why you would just block off almost an entire planet of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I I don't know. It makes no sense to me. And he was trying to rationalize it with some people saying like, "Why would you do that? What's the point of this?" And he was trying
Mm-hmm.
to go on and on about black power, black culture, keep it all in the family, all that kind of stuff. And it didn't resonate to me. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because maybe I'm too young to understand. It just didn't resonate with me personally. But I don't know, that it kind of irked me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has preferences, whether you like white women, white men, black women, mixed, Latino, Indian, Asian, whatever the case may be. We all have preferences, but you shouldn't dictate what
Who
other
people can
people.
and can't date.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how the hell you gonna sit here and tell me? Well, he wasn't telling me, but like, how the hell you gonna sit there and say, as a black man, you shouldn't date anyone other than black women? Like, get the hell out of here, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak to the black experience. I'm not a black woman. I am a Mexican woman in society, so it's my experience is vastly different. I can see the points, like, for example, like when we come to about like the ladder of oppression, like black women are historically have always been at the bottom of it. So like black
Mm-hmm.
men dating black women would help uplift their oppression, right?
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
then both black women and black men are vastly more oppressed than any other like group, right?
Yes.
So there's that. This idea of like fetishization of black men and other um ethnic groups slash racial groups, right? It's like I think of just the way like cartoons portray this, the way movies portray like these like big, huge black handsome men and how they are these sex appeal, like sex candies, sex icons, like eye candy, like the purposes of like a black man is for like sexual reasons,
Mm-hmm.
or they're just like slaves, right? I think all of it is just yeah, like I said, I can't really speak too much for the black experience because I'm not black, and I don't think anyone has the right to dictate who people can and can't date. Um, and I know I will be honest about this, and I've ragged Dean about his choice of women specifically because I also just had an issue with the type of woman you would date, and just more specifically about being really overprotective about your black experience as your friend who is lighter in complexion and will fuck a bitch up for being racist or trying to like oppress you in any other ways in society. But I also work with black men. I know how they get treated by non-colored women. So the last thing I would ever want is for you to be put into a situation where you're getting in trouble because a woman lied about something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of like my only beef with the choice of women you've dated in the past. Not to say any of these women were ever like near that, but that's just something that I think I'm just fearful of that. That's
when
my own shit.
when I run in those circles, that
Yep.
that fear is always brought up.
Yep.
One
But
thing. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, but like kind of going back to your point, like yeah, I have for sure been in situations where You know, my mom's side of the family will like say like you should date like a Mexican who speaks Spanish so they can like get along better. Because I historically have dated white men. But I also grew up with the Filipino step family who used to tell me to date white men. So for a long time, white men were the people that I dated. And the one time I dated a Mexican, he was a little too close to home in terms of familial relations, and we'll get to that in a second. And it wasn't until my recent ex that I dated another Hispanic. And even then, we were from the same town. We weren't related, but like still, it's a little too close for comfort, you know? So I also know in the past and currently, like I've dated men who are half black, half white, or half European, and Hispanics are really racist against black people, are really prejudiced and discriminatory towards black people. There's no such thing as anti-racism, and y'all can fight me on that. So it's really difficult because it's like, again, you like who you like, don't tell me who I can and can't date. And I know that I do get scared about the type of person I'm going to be bringing home, because I will disown my family and stop talking to my family for treating my partner like shit because they're not the same background as me.
As you should. Real quick, before we move on to the next topic, you did speak on a little bit of like the fetishization of black men and the black community. Because I actually did want to touch on that, but I glossed over it in my head. I personally like, obviously going through the dating scene as a black man can be a little difficult, because, and I know you sort of talked about it a little bit, you know, being sort of looked at as the eye candy because of like movies and stuff portray men, certain black men as like strong and, you know, good looking, all that kind of stuff, from a character and physical standpoint. But I think one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, and I don't think people realize they do it subconsciously, is porn. Porn also plays a big part in, obviously, you know, the stereotype of black men have large dicks and, you know, they can hang with the best of them and you'll have the best night of your life with the black man, all that kind of stuff. And I shouldn't say kind of, it does hurt. It hurts all of us, you know, because women will have this high expectation of us, right from the jump, you know, the moment, regardless of whether it's like sex or you know, being in the dating phase or the courting phase, you know, if you're anything less than what people think of you or think what you should be like, it's like instantly a wrap. And it's hard to navigate. You know, it's hard trying to find someone that doesn't see you as a stereotype for your looks or your, you know, your body parts or anything like that. It's, I don't know. And again, I don't think a lot of people do it on purpose, but it is something that I have had to navigate personally throughout all my years of dating. You know, oh, you're black. Ooh, tell me more about your BBC, you know, like, and I'm like, it's yes, it's big. Like, what else do you need to know about it? Like, for the love of God, can we move past that?
Yep. Thanks for speaking more about that. I think, yeah, that's a topic in itself. To move on to the next one, this one I was specifically interested in, not because I agree with it, but because of how true it is. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to speak from my own experience in terms of like culture. But the tweet response, how do you say it? The response to the tweet, whatever. In the thread, the comment, yes. The comment in this thread was, many people have sex with their cousins. And oh my God, y'all. Like, unfortunately, this is true in the Hispanic community, specifically the Mexican community in like Mexico, and even like Mexicans who have migrated here, who've been here. This is like such a common thing. I have like family who has experienced this, but a lot of people in Mexican culture, their first sexual experiences are with their cousins. I've heard this from family members. I've heard this from like my fellow Mexican friends. And I have one friend specifically who's half Japanese and half Mexican. And even she was talking about in both her Japanese culture and her family from Japan and in her Mexican side of the family, it has happened on both sides where like people's first sexual experiences are with their cousins, whether it's their first cousins or second cousins or third cousins. I'm Mexican. We don't do one, twos, and threes. You're just family. You're just a cousin or like an aunt or an uncle. But it's like really common and it's so unspoken. Like, you know, but you don't talk about it. It is like the dirty laundry and the skeletons in the closet that you never bring up when you're cutting the bread to figure out who's getting the baby Jesus and that's going to have to cook for everybody. It's like a religious thing Mexicans do, or I'm assuming Catholics do, but I'm Mexican, so I'm gonna just say Mexicans. But like, it's so interesting because I'm thinking about the specific instances in my family history, and I'm just like, damn, this couldn't be any more real. And it kind of makes sense, as gross as it sounds, because if you have hella cousins your age and you grow up with all those cousins your age, someone is going to start becoming sexually curious. And who are you going to experiment with? The people you're around all the time. Because you know who you date? The people you are around all the time. It's called the theory of proximity or some shit like that. You date who you are constantly near. So I can see how this is super controversial because obviously it's not politically correct. And it's very true because it's a thing in Mexican culture. And I want to say this not so people can rag on Mexicans or further justify their own racist bullshit. So don't start ragging on Mexican culture because I'm sure this happens in American culture. I'm sure this happens in like Italian cultures or wherever else. I'm just speaking for the fact that I know this is a Mexican thing and a Japanese thing. And not just because of my one Japanese reference. I have a bunch of friends who can back that up too. DeAndre, your opinions.
Funny, you as soon as you brought that tweet up or that comment, I just scrolled by it. But a lot of that was very enlightening. However, you did say one thing that oh yeah, you date the people that you're around, which it's like, yeah, I mean, how many guys try to date their friends? You know,
Yeah.
like it would only make sense that I shouldn't even say make sense. I don't know. I guess a lot of cultures are different. I never really thought about the whole like cousin fucking thing. It's fucking crazy. However, I don't know how I came across this subreddit, but there's like a whole subreddit dedicated to like incest. It's fucking crazy. It's one of the craziest subreddits I think I've ever come across. Just like scrolling through it for like maybe like 15-20 minutes, I would read stories about oh, my dad and his friend used me or something, or me and my brother finally did it. And I was like, what is this whole
That's a
sub
whole different thing. That's like a whole different dynamic.
yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, people really just be out here fucking their family members. It's crazy. Just having full on relationships and hookups and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is going on out there?
Yeah, so kind of going back to the last one we brought up. So the reason why I had brought up a relationship that I was in high school, I dated this guy who his cousin, we have the same cousins and we have the same aunt and uncle. However, I'm related to them through their dad's side of the family, and he's related to them through their mom's side of the family, and their parents as siblings got together. No, the mom and the dad are married. We're related to the siblings of those parents. It's a weird triangle situation, but I thought he was my cousin. And man, oh man, was that a hard one to kind of unlearn and like a tough pill to swallow because you're kissing somebody and then they show up at a family party and you're like, are we family? And then you have to hear from all the adults in the room that you're not related in any single way. But ever since that one time, I was very hesitant on dating any Mexicans.
Oh,
Yep.
sheesh.
So a little too close for comfort. I don't agree with this thing that people have sex with their cousins. However, I do know that's a thing that happens.
That's
DeAndre, which one you got for us next?
That's enlightening as fuck. I see one that you posted here in the chat. Says he will cheat more because he knows you ain't leaving. I have never cheated on any of my partners. I don't know if you have. I won't judge you if you have or haven't. Nice. I know people that.
Not nice.
I was hoping you would just gloss right over that. But I know people that have, actively cheated on their partners. I mean, I'm not a snitch or anything like that. Like, it's your business. I don't know. I'm not gonna go, oh, so and so did that or whatever. But like, yeah, if he cheats, he'll do it more because he ain't leaving. I've seen so many stories of people staying in relationships. You forgive him. Oh, he didn't mean it. He was drunk, or he was this, or he was that. And I just feel so bad because the only thing that you and your partner have between each other more than anything is trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you go and do all this bullshit, you sleep around, or you even emotionally cheating, why break the trust of your partner? I couldn't imagine doing that to any of my partners that I've had previously. I've never once done that ever, and I couldn't imagine doing it currently or even in the future. I don't think I have that in me. I can't do that. Just even the thought of that, like, kind of makes me sick.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, if you know she's not gonna go anywhere, why do you have to change?
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that kick in the ass, and the fact that you've done it once, twice, 3 times, like, that's already scummy enough.
Yep. Yeah, I have cheated on somebody in high school, though. Not to make it any better, but I have not cheated on anybody since. And that was really shitty because I was very much in pain and very much, like, miserable, and I made everyone around me miserable in any way that I could, because why should other people be happy if you're not happy, right? So I cheated, and it really sucked for that person, and it sucked for me too, because I still live with that, but I've been cheated on by every single one of my boyfriends besides one. And the good old one is the one that set my standard, so I'm very grateful for him. But yeah, cheating fucking sucks. And my recent ex, he just had the one opportunity to cheat, and I left, and I never looked back. But unfortunately, the ones before him cheated multiple times. One of them cheated on me with 14 women and counting. So, and that's just because those are the 14 women that I know of. Not the ones that have, well, I knew he cheated on me with 11 women, and then more came out after we broke up. So, again, 14 women and counting. That should be its own show. But I stayed with him, and I kept forgiving them, and I think, yeah, if a man cheats, not even if a person cheats on you and you forgive them, they're gonna do it again. Like, I don't care who you are. You cheat once, there is going to be a second time. Mm-hmm. I think of J. Cole's, like, fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. I listened to the Wine and Crime podcast, and I was listening to, I think it's called, like, Holy Trinities, and they're talking about the number and the sequence of the number 3. But one of them talked about this idea of, like, if there's a first time, there's going to be a second, and if there's a second, there will always be more. And I think that's, when it comes to cheating, that's valid. And when it comes to cheating, I think specifically a lot of the times, because the one above it is like men cheat rampantly and shamelessly because women forgive them. I think that's probably true. And I also know it's vice versa. Like, if women cheat on men don't know how to handle it. Like, men's whole ego break.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
you bruise
regardless,
a man's ego, that's game over.
yeah. But don't be putting us through shit that y'all can't stand because we'll do it even better. And that's toxicity 101. Um, moving on to the next one.
Wait, real quick. I just scrolled by this. Staying on the cheating thing, just this guy's comment made me laugh. It said, or not laugh, but it was like kind of like, ooh, that's kind of a good one. It says, no cheater has really changed. They just got better at hiding.
Ooh. Agree and disagree because I've only ever cheated the one time.
Mm.
Have I flirted with people while I was in relationships? You damn right. But it was only when I was in a really shitty place in my relationships, not to make it any better. But that's usually my telltale sign of like it's time for me to end the relationship. But I've never been more tempted than like just accepting somebody else's attention. And I guess that can be considered cheating, depending on how you look at it. But I also feel like people flirt in relationships all the time. Like you flirt with a coworker, you flirt with your classmate, you flirt with your colleagues in some way, shape, or form. As long as it's innocent, I think that's natural. Unfortunately, / fortunately. But that kind of relates to this one that I'm bringing up. Learning to roleplay and express kinks. More importantly, to be open to your partner's kinks. I think this one needs to be talked about more because sex education is not being taught anymore in schools. There's all this controversy about like teaching sex ed, different types of sexual education. So not sticking to the heteronormative male-female sexual relations and learning and being more open to like other types of sexual encounters with different genders. And this is such a blow to society because that means people are heavily relying on porn to learn about sex, and that is not real. Porn is the most unhealthiest way to learn how to have sex, and people's sex lives are going to be forever ruined if all they know is how to do sex because of the porn stars.
Yeah.
So when it comes to role playing and expressing kinks, I think this is just so huge and important because it talks a lot to vulnerability, to openness, and to like exploring different aspects of your relationship. But like, not every relationship can survive off of love. And not to say that love doesn't exist. Eventually, the honeymoon phase ends. Eventually, problems kick in. Dry spells happen. And if you want to be with your partner for the rest of your life, or for however long you can be with them for, you're gonna have to switch it up. And I don't just mean that in a sexual sense. I mean that in every sense. You shed who you were at the beginning of your relationship and you grow into new people. These new people have new needs. And the more you're able to talk about those needs and communicate and be open to them, the more your relationship will work. People go through growing pains. It's normal. It just depends on how open you're willing to be about it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. You gotta grow, and that stuff, it tough. Sometimes it hurts, but if you're willing to stick it out till the end, you know, hey, on the other side, you might be better people for it. And some people grow apart. You know, it comes with age. Sometimes you can love a person for who they are, but maybe who they are isn't who you want them to be, if that makes sense. Or, you know, they've become such different people later in life that it's like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling this anymore. But to kind of get back to what you were saying, yes, explore the kinky side, the sexual side, especially if sex is going to be an important factor in your relationship. You need to know can your person keep up with you? Can they get down with your kinks? Are they down to role play? Are they down to switch? It's fucking spontaneous, you know, whatever the case may be. Do they like a rough? Do they like a sensual? Do they like spit? Do they like being hit, choked? You know, all that shit, you know, because what works for some might not work for the others. Just have that open dialogue, that open line of communication. I don't know Oh no, that episode might not see the light of day yet, but I talked about it in an episode um that may or may not come out ever. But I talked about I like to get sex in the relationship when I'm seeing someone. I like to get that out of the way early, which means I like to ask people, not like ask, but if it comes up, it comes up. But I do like to have that open dialogue of, hey, I'm a little bit on the kinkier side, you know what I mean? I like to, have sex in public, or I like to do this, or I like to do that. And, it's to me that awkward phase of sex gets out of the way early, which is kind of why I like doing it, because quite frankly, sex is awkward the first time, maybe in the first couple times, it's awkward. And I don't like awkward moments. So the sooner I can get that out the way, the better for me, honestly.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, what is this? More importantly, be open to your partner's. Oh yeah, your partner's kinks also. Yes, please, for the love of God, it's not all about you. It's not all about you. There's two people in this, or I mean, if you're a throuple or whatever people are in nowadays,
Yeah.
be your partner has needs also, and please be receptacle. Is that the right word?
Receptive?
Yes,
Reciprocal?
not
Yeah.
receptacle. That's like a trash can. Yeah, please be reciprocal of your partner's needs and want, and if you can't meet them, then bounce, please. And speaking of bouncing, uh, this next one, oh my God, I came across this a few minutes ago, and it actually triggered a memory of some dating shows. Telling your partner you have options is not a flex.
My God.
Period.
If I were to ever be told I got options, you just lost me.
Yeah, go
Because
go
not
explore.
only am I not an option, I'm not gonna give you the time of day to make me one. You got options, baby. You're third string quarterback. Bye.
Ooh, shit, third string. Yeah, this sort of triggered a memory. Not a memory. I was watching this people. It's a pretty popular dating show on YouTube called The Button. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but The Button is a game show. Think Tinder in real life, sort of. So there's two people. They sit across from each other at a table, and there's a button in the middle. Hence the name The Button. And the button has all this information about you that I'm sure you probably, someone interviews you beforehand and like asks you random questions about yourself, all that kind of stuff. And the button, if you guys are having a conversation, or if the conversation looks like it's dying, the button will blur out a prompt or like a question like, did you know that so and so likes to have their armpits tickled, or something along those lines. And the button will light up red, and someone can press the button, and that's the equivalent of swiping left on them on Tinder. Swiping left on them means that they're out of here. That's a mismatch. So that's basically the gist of the show. And there was one couple, or not couple, but there was a guy and a girl. They were having a great conversation. I mean, they were like cute together. They were laughing, joking around, having a good time. And when it got down time to it, they get like one final chance. The button lights up red. They get one final chance to either someone hits the button and they move on to the next person, or they can stay and then they get set up on another date after the fact. And I'm like, okay, cool. They made it to the end. The button lights up red. They're looking at each other, and the girl hits the button, and I was pissed. And I was like, oh no. And you can straight up ask, like, why'd you hit the button? And the girl says, I like you and all, but I want to see my other options. And I felt so bad for the guy, because they were hitting it off so great. On one hand, I guess I can kind of get it. In the heat of the moment, you just sort of do it. But like at the same time, it's just, you had it. You're right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. But So fast forward. So she's going through some other guys. She's hitting the button on everybody. And eventually I think it gets down to where it's like there's no one, or she gets down to like one guy, and he's like they're kind of okay, and he's like, it seems like you and homeboy were having a good conversation, and the button was like, would you be willing to go, would you mind telling homeboy to come back in here for a second chance? And she was like, yeah, go. And she told the dude in the chair, like, hey, go get homeboy, bring him back in here. So he comes back, and he immediately hits that button, and it was like, I'm not a second chance, or I'm not a second option. Like, you don't get a second chance with me. You had your chance, and he bounced her. I felt so happy for it.
Yes, that's a boss move.
Oh my god, that shit just figured. I was like, but yeah,
You're
like
not first, you're last. Good old
Mhm.
Michael Scott.
But like you were saying, yeah, don't. That's not a flex.
No.
It's really it's scummy, if anything.
I joke about it with y'all. I think just like, okay, my roster of the people that I'm dating, right? Again, I'm dating. I'm not in a relationship. As soon as I'm dedicated and committed to somebody, that's my only person. Homie, if you think you got better, then you go be with better, because I know what tier I am. I might not be for everybody, but I'm for somebody.
Mhm.
And with that, I also feel like this response to the tweet is relevant, but also I highly disagree with it. This one says, I strongly believe you can meet the right person at the wrong time, and it's okay when things don't work out for you both at the moment. However, when you both have grown in experience and maturity, it's okay if and when you find yourselves back together. Do I believe you can find yourself back to somebody? Yes. However, I don't believe right person, wrong time. I don't believe in wrong timing. For me, and this could be just me being very black and white in the way that I think, if it's not going to work out right now, I'm not holding the door open for you. I'm not saving you a spot at my table. I need to eat. I need to figure out who is going to be sitting at my table. And waiting for somebody to be the right person at the right time, I'm going to be waiting forever. Like, I've had the experience where I dated somebody in middle school and we reconnected our senior year of high school. That was cool. That was nice. And then it ended really badly, and I'm very happy that that door remained shut. I did it again. Dated someone at 19, held his door open for years just to find out that I never felt the same way after like 5 years of us being broken up when we tried to date again. I held that door open because in my mind, I was like, oh, it was just the wrong timing. It's just the wrong timing. No, it's just the right person at the right time. It's just not meant to be. It's just not going to work out. If it comes back around, then I might be open to it, but I'm not going to hold doors open for people. So I don't really believe in the right person, the wrong time. I don't feel very romanticized in those ideas anymore.
I could see that. It's funny you mentioned that one, because the other day me and my girlfriend were hanging out, and she asked me, is there any ex that if they came back into your life, would you drop me and get back with them? And I flat out, I said no. And she's like, really? Like, it's like, yeah, because kind of like how you said, if it didn't work then, what broke us up before, this is how I said it, what broke us up before is still gonna be present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know why we broke up, and if we get back together, it hasn't gone anywhere. We'd be right back at where we left off, and where we left off wasn't a good place. So why would I subject myself to that again?
Yep.
But the right person, wrong time thing, I don't know necessarily if I believe in that too. I do kind of believe in the you meet the right person in the weirdest of times, in the weirdest of places.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely believe in that, but wrong time, I can kind of see it though, because sometimes people are going through the working on themselves phase of their personal life, or maybe they're just not ready to commit, like how you were swindled into saying yes to your guy one time, like it. I don't know. The I can see it both ways. I wouldn't say I'm a big purveyor of right person, wrong time, but it, in my opinion, it kind of happens, I guess. Let's see. So my next one, and I think we've got time for maybe one more after this. This will be a doozy. It says y'all's quote unquote standards be heavily influenced by social media and society, which couldn't be more true. Oh my god, everybody loves social media. We love the idea of social media. We love being on social media. We love talking about it. We love looking at other people's pictures and videos and tweets and TikToks and Snapchats and everything under the sun. Everything is right there available for us on social media. And it's a blessing. It's become a blessing and a curse. I would probably say more so a curse, because it has gotten people this romanticized version of what a relationship is and what a relationship should be. And no one really has a mind of their own when it comes to things like that. They think a relationship is supposed to be what you see on social media, the glitz, the glamour, all the good times, the holding hands, the nice dinners, the dates, the traveling, the whatever. And sure, it can be that, but think of it's like a movie, you know? They only see what you want them to see. So think about all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, the stuff you don't get to see.
That's why I have a twisted sense of love, because I love rom-coms.
But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of actual work that goes into relationships, and a lot of people, I sad to say, are too immature to realize that, and they're just not ready to take on that they're not ready to take on that task. Too busy with their heads in the clouds, unfortunately.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think there's this big capitalist idea of love. Yes, I'm throwing the big C word out there, that you need to bring your girlfriend flowers and bake her things and take her to France and buy her a new Audi and like do X, Y, and Z things. Or for a man, like, you know what I mean? I just think there are so many ways to express love and to show how much you love somebody that is not gonna break your ego or break your bank or, you know, break people's opinions. And I seen something along the lines of this thread saying like people in the relationship should dictate their relationships, not social media. And I think that's so accurate with what you're bringing up, because it's like, it's influencing the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, you're letting likes and, you know, the lack thereof, or the comments and the lack thereof, and if things are trending, dictate the standards you want for your experience in a relationship. And it just makes it so meaningless. I have a lot more fun and feel a lot more loved when someone makes me a cup of noodle rather than taking me to a steakhouse, or you know, the first thing they do when they wake up is make me a cup of coffee rather than breakfast in bed, or taking me out to breakfast, you know, having toothpaste on my toothbrush already instead of buying me a bouquet of flowers. You know, like, there's all these different ways of showing love, and those are not talked about enough. All right, last one.
Yeah, we got one more. Take us home, Yesenia. Right.
I'm actually gonna switch it up because I think I had asked my Instagram followers for unpopular opinions. I won't say who for confidentiality reasons, but this one I thought was a really good one.
You can type it in the chat to me, see if I know.
No, you don't.
Okay. Awesome.
It says telling people your previous relationships and how significant they are to you. Basically meaning, like, you should be telling your partner who you've dated in the past and how much they meant to you. And I think with this one, I both agree and disagree with it. It's kind of hard because with my previous relationship, I think if I would have known the bitches he was texting all the damn time were his exes, I would have been dipped. And I would have been like, you clearly they mean more to you than what you're leading it to be if you're with them or like talking to them every day or falling asleep on FaceTime with them every night. Because if he wasn't on FaceTime with me at night, he was on FaceTime with one of them. So I would have been like out. I wouldn't have pursued that relationship. But even with like homeboy yesterday, he was talking to me about a sexual experience he was having. And not that I minded it, it brought me insight to more information that I needed to know about him. But like, I didn't care to know the dirty details. And I told him that. I was like, we don't have to talk about those things. And it could be because him and I aren't boyfriend and girlfriend. We're not in a relationship type of thing. We are what we are. But I just feel like sometimes I do want to know because I want to know what I'm getting myself into. And then there's just sometimes where I don't need to know. But I think if I'm feeling secure in my relationship and I trust that person, I don't give a flying fuck. If I feel insecure and feel like somebody's cheating on me or someone's being sneaky, then I do care.
Fuck yeah. I definitely feel like talking about someone's history is also very important. You know, are they still hung up on their ex or a past lover? Because it took me a good while to get over my last girlfriend. I would say even to the point where like my girlfriend now, if we had met maybe like 6-7 months ago, I still probably would have been going through, you know, some personal battles with my last relationship that I haven't resolved. And I don't think it would have been fair to her or me even to try to rush into something else. And I think that's also another thing is, you know, people try to rush into relationships to try to get rid of the stink or the stench of their last relationship. And I think that's that's definitely the wrong approach. You know, you should definitely be taking your time to, you know, make sure you're okay. You yourself are okay mentally and physically, and to make sure you're actually ready for a relationship, not just, I need to get over this person. So I'm going to go get into a relationship as quick as I can to wash myself of that. And then that's when you start calling them and texting them and I want you back and all this other stuff. This isn't what I want. I'm with this person now, but she's not you. Nah, 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 nah. But yeah, I think there definitely takes a level of maturity there to even have that sort of talk of, these are my exes. They all are dead to me now. And I think I don't know if we've necessarily had that talk yet, me and my girlfriend. I don't know if we've had that talk yet. But the topic of previous relationships has come up and we have talked about them. I think for the most part, I know about most, if not all, her exes. And from what she says, they don't sound like upstanding gentlemen. So,
Not at all.
so I think the bar was set pretty low, and I've Olympic pole vaulted right over them motherfuckers.
I think you could have just did a little shimmy and probably even hopped over that.
Yeah.
You could have did a little crip walk and it would have been fine.
Ooh, well, sea walking. But yeah, it just takes a very adult. Sometimes you just have to have that talk, an adult talk with your partner, whether it's about your past relationships or if it's you know, your future together, kind of like how you were saying, like what are we? What are we defined as?
Yeah.
You know, you just want to be on the same page with your partner pretty much every step of the way, from dating to being in a relationship, and even while you're in the relationship. Because my girlfriend will also, every when we had like our 1 month and 2 month like quote unquote anniversary or whatever, she would ask me, all right, we're at 1 month, are we good? And she would do that at 2 months, like, are we still good? And I'm like, yeah, you know, if anything ever arises, you know, we talk about it, try to come to an understanding or a reasoning, but nothing has come up so far, thankfully. So, but yeah, you know, I think it's also important to check in with your partner every now and again, just to.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Making sure you're still on the same page, what's going well, what can be improved.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's healthy as fuck. Just being able to like check in and being like, you still want to do this? Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna be on my wedding day, and right before I say I do, I'm gonna be like, "You sure you want to do this still? Like, you could still like say I don't and like leave."
Yeah, you don't want to end up like Panic at the Disco. I joined in with the hell.
Listen a goddamn door, no.
And speaking of closing doors, we're closing the door on this chapter, on this episode of Soft Boiled.
No opinions were harmed in the creation of this podcast. We are mature adults here. We are just talking to talk. We respect other people's opinions and other people's truths. They just may or may not work for us, and that's all good and gravy because at the end of the day, those people will find people who love them for who they are, and we will find people who love us for who we are.
Not
Well,
fuck
DeAndre
that.
already found someone who loves him for who he is, so.
I'm coming for smoke. I don't give a fuck. I want some of y'all to be offended. Some of you need to be offended. I swear to God. But,
Fine. Get offended. And why you get offended, thank you for listening on this week's episode of Soft Boiled with your hostess, with the mostest, Yesenia, myself, and then DeAndre himself.
Coming for that smoke.